Hey everyone, it's ENDYMION, and there's quite a bit to cover in this video, from Assassin's Creed's executive producer admitting that Shadows is awful and full of inconsistencies, and CD Projekt Red getting exposed again for pandering to woke grifters in order to gain positive press, which then spills the conversation into a much larger problem that encompasses entire organizations like the gaming magazine and more. And that's gaming as in Gayming, by the way. The rock goes deep, fellas. And once you see it, you won't be able to not notice it going forward. So, let's get into it. Firstly, Assassin's Creed Shadows. This will be the next nuclear level disaster that will be coming to us in the near future. The game has been chronicled for a while now by others and myself to be a game that is built to become the most woke edition in the series yet. I've exposed this game aplenty already for adding Yasuke due to Black Lives Matter protests and trying to appeal to DEI. In order to secure sales and more, this has now brought us to the executive producer of Assassin's Creed as a whole, whose name is Mark Alexis Cote. He was recently at an event called the External Development Summit, or XDS for short. Mark spoke for almost an hour about the trials and tribulations that comes with shepherding a large brand like Assassin's Creed. How he worked on Syndicate and changed his career multiple times before he found something that he was satisfied with fully. At one point, Mark says, and this coincides with an article from Fandom Pulse titled, "Ubisoft executive says Assassin's Creed Shadows devs thinks it's the worst thing they've ever seen." Mark said during his XDS panel, and I'll be adding what he said in an official post as well from Ubisoft in this to make it simpler to say, and I quote, "One of the things that I've noticed since the pandemic is that we have a lot of juniors in our teams. Probably half the team that's building Assassin's Creed is building a game for the first time. So they don't know, even though they're playing the game right now and they think it's the worst thing they've ever seen. It's going to be good. We're going to get there. I've been there. I remember my first time on Assassin's Creed like it was July and the game was shipping in October and I was like, there's no way this thing ends up shipping. Oh, 91 Metacritic. Oh, okay, this is good. So I was wrong because it's not good until it is. Assassin's Creed Shadows is a dream project for us, finally bringing the series to feudal Japan with many features developed with our community in mind, such as parkour or renewed stealth, brought by new technology all set in a beautiful and immersive world. This is an ambitious addition to the franchise, a rich experience that can be lived through the eyes of two unique protagonists. But we realize we need more time to polish and refine the experience, pushing further some of our key features." End quote. Oh my god, so Mark admits that the game is currently in a state that even the developers themselves who are working on it are admitting that the game is bad, which is, come on, that's not a vote of confidence. Especially considering this XDS interview was published just 2 weeks ago, meaning if things were set to what they were originally planned as, then the version of Shadows that these developers are playing right now and are admitting that it's the worst thing they've ever seen, it would have actually came out the day before this video goes live, because Shadows' original release date was November 15th, 2024. Meaning they are not admitting this level of incompetence and bad game design on something that was not ready to ship, like a beta version of the game or something instead. This is the feature-complete version of Shadows that these devs are playing that was meant to go to retail right now. And even then, they're admitting that it isn't up to snuff, which means we can only imagine what the review scores and the player reception would have been for this game had it released right now as it was supposed to. Likely it would have gotten torn apart by reviews and players would be memeing plenty of moments throughout the game to show Ubisoft's incompetence when it comes to understanding and presenting a feudal Japan setting through this franchise. As I was told by sources, this delay that they're using for Shadows is not to necessarily fix much of the gameplay. Those systems, as I'm told, have been pretty much finalized for a really long time now. Anything they're working on right now, it has to do with the way things are presented in the game to avoid further backlash. Like I said a month ago or so, I was told that Yasuke's hip-hop battle theme will be removed from the game because it obviously makes zero sense for him to have a battle theme with music that objectively would not exist during that era at all, and it's extra on the nose since they gave him hip-hop music simply because he's black.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Way to go, Ubisoft, you just keep hitting it out of the park. From what I've been told, This delay won't save this game, and the February date will likely get pushed back even further because the game likely won't hit that February date as of right now. And the next projected date is mid-March 2025, which I leaked in a call form I was sent by someone who worked at Ubisoft. Regardless, nothing will really save this game, it's already plenty cooked. As if this wasn't already eye-roll worthy enough, during another recent interview Mark had but with the New York Times, he decided to say this. We want people to be passionate about history. What does that mean? Stay true to well-documented moments and historical figures, but not shying away from having a critical point of view and defying cliches to go beyond what is the accepted truth. Oh boy, here we go. Go beyond what is accepted truth is corporate speak for we're gonna shove DEI into it and push a narrative within a setting that has no business being there in the first place. I, like many of you, loathe this kind of storytelling. In case you don't know, female ninjas never existed either. They were simply popularized by Japanese novelists to sell books, and Yasuke, he has been disproven so many times already, so there's no point in repeating it. The point here is that Mark Alexis' code is clearly trying to shift the narrative to favor his company's selected truth when it comes to the story and what it means to them. They hate that they've been called out and exposed for months now because unlike their opinions that constantly shift, the internet, unfortunately for them, is forever. And we know this Shadows game is not being designed in good faith, and to admit openly on stage, in front of people, that not only is Shadows not a good game according to your own devs, but then to further admit that more than half of your team working on Shadows are juniors, that's crazy, dude. Because that's exactly what I was told and reported on before as well, and people called me a liar for it. That the vast majority of Shadows development team are either people new to the industry or have never worked on an Assassin's Creed game before. And as I was told by sources, is that Ubisoft heavily relies on outsourcing anything that is even remotely challenging to development to seasoned contractor devs instead. Because the people that they've hired largely can't fulfill the job requirements that are set for them. And this is one of the biggest reasons why DEI is killing everything. Because they're just hiring people based on things that have nothing to do with skill or talent. Is the combat in Assassin's Creed Shadows any good? Well, a black queer woman worked on it. Okay, but is the combat any good? It doesn't matter because a black queer woman worked on it. And that is how they go. It's always interesting that they got ousted for another moronic idea to push in Shadows as well. Eurogamer recently reported that Shadows will have a battle pass in the game. Yeah, you heard that right. A single player game will now have a paid cosmetic battle pass that you can grind through as you play it. This was data mined by users, and tons of images were shared on Reddit showing the actual paid cosmetics and free tiers available in Shadows. Unfortunately, I can't show you them either way because the Reddit thread that did post the images, they actually ended up getting DMCA'd, which means that what was being shown was absolutely 100% real and Ubisoft didn't really want people to see it. But from what was described, they are truly going to paywall content that could easily be obtained in the game at launch, by the way, behind another paywall as you play it. And it's all the usual stuff, new armor, cosmetics, weapons, mounts, getting new skins as you progress through this battle pass. This would all tie into the Animus Hub, which is supposed to be this all-in-one launcher for Assassin's Creed games in the future. Think of like Fortnite's launcher, but instead of zero build or player-made modes, of course, it's just different Assassin's Creed games instead. Personally, I don't think that fully priced games should have battle passes, especially if your game is single-player only. Sure, okay, we know that Shadows will eventually get a co-op mode, but it's not at launch. But this game is not some massive open-world multiplayer game in the same way as, say, I don't know, World of Warcraft, or even something like Warframe. And I loathe the idea of paying $80 Canadian for Shadows, then another $10 to $15 for the Battle Pass, and then another $20 to $30 at launch, so I can have all the digital cosmetic upgrades bundle nonsense too, but I also gotta pay extra for Helix credits. Because we all know that Shadows will absolutely have a cash shop store day one the same way Valhalla did as well. And as I was told by sources before, and I reported about this a month ago, Shadows will be the most heavily monetized game in the series yet. So by the time you actually sit down to play Shadows, if you want the full experience, you basically gotta pay Ubisoft an extra fee equivalent to the entire game you just paid for to get more content that could have all been included in the game but wasn't, so that they could nickel and dime you even further. It's gross, I hate it, and I can't imagine paying somewhere near $200 or more about a game where a black samurai is mowing down Japanese people in their home country and a gender-locked female shinobi who never would have existed either. But the idea of a single-player game becoming these Battle Pass adjacent experiences, dude, that sounds awful to me. Imagine playing Witcher 3 and you gotta kill like 30 drowners so you get a Witcher coin so you can buy something from the Battle Pass. Just stop. It's so lame, dude, we don't need it. But now, let's move on to the next story here, which involves Witcher 3's parent company, CD Projekt Red. So last month, I exposed a major grifting company called Gaming Magazine. In case you don't remember, this gaming magazine was founded to charge gaming publishers and partners upwards of $100,000 plus to become official sponsors for their yearly Games Awards ceremony that barely broke over 1,000 views last year when it debuted on YouTube, and no, I'm not kidding. And then they call us the grifters. Goddamn, I gotta start making up awards ceremony shows and just selling sponsors for insane amounts of money myself. Anyway, the gaming magazine is tied to a lot of the usual people that you've come to find attached to many different games that have also been ruined by DEI. For example, people like Laura Dale, who worked on Dragon Age Veilguard, is a part of this gaming magazine grift group. They also used to write for Kotaku until they were forced to step down because they were writing articles that damaged Kotaku's reputation, if you can believe that even happening. You may not notice who all these faces on this picture on screen here are. The guy here on the right, his name is Alex Battaglia. I might have said that wrong. But anyways, he works at Digital Foundry and you have seen him a ton probably on there too. He was also, in case you remember, very vocal about how much he finds Stellar Blade to be overtly sexual and have unrealistic body proportions.
Do you think the character model was actually like very distracting in not a good way? Because like with the camera angles chosen, it just felt like this game seems like a game that came out in like 002 in terms of its, like character design. It's like a bit old and not flattering, I don't think, for a modern audience. In comparison to something like Forspoken.
Even though we all think that's very stupid. Like I said, this gaming magazine grifts like crazy in the industry, and demanding hundreds of thousands of dollars from studios to support them while they make content for quite literally nobody at all. Here's the YouTube channel attached to this so-called official magazine, which you can see in real time has horrific numbers that don't paint the picture that this is some sort of organization that is resonating with anyone besides small fringe minority groups. And one of the people a part of Gaming Magazine is this person here named Cypher. Don't harass this person, by the way. Let's just analyze what's going on here. So friend of the channel, Savvy, who honestly I just want to congratulate because she has borderline superhuman abilities to connect dots and find information out about people unlike anyone I know. Savvy should become an FBI investigator, and no, I'm not kidding. She could probably find out who the Zodiac Killer was as long as you gave her enough coffee and some candy as an award. It's either she's superhuman or she's probably autistic. Probably both, let's be real. But shout out to Savvy, but she's responsible for compiling this information that I'm about to show you here, so please give her a follow on Twitter because she does great work. So real name Tanya DePass, or Cypher as they go by online here, works for Gaming Magazine, and has many ties to companies like CD Projekt Red, as well as BioWare too. And they were welcomed into Gaming Magazine as an ambassador at one point, which, yes, if you can believe it, even a channel that gets basically no traction has ambassadors. Gaming also named Tanya or Cypher as their gaming icon winner. Wow, your own brand gave you an award. Crazy, who could have seen that one coming? They literally did the Obama meme in real life. So Cypher is this person who has openly criticized and attacked CD Projekt Red aplenty prior to the release of Cyberpunk. So let's go back to 2019, okay? Rock Paper Shotgun, a gaming website, claimed that Cyberpunk 2077 had racist stereotypes in it and was basically transphobic and all the other buzzwords that you can imagine. Cypher then, of course, took that article and weaponized it via Twitter. So here's what they said in 2019 via Twitter about all of this. Well, let's talk about hashtag Cyberpunk 2077 and this Rock Paper Shotgun article hot off the press from EA. So much to Last year, I was hype AF for this game, but in that year since, well, CDPR has just failed to keep me interested. Why? Transphobia, and now this racist BS. They then, as you can see on screen, continue to state that CDPR is transphobic and racist, and Cyberpunk is awful. They continue by quoting the Rock Paper Shotgun article while including their own thoughts where they say, at one point V, the player character, mockingly says, and who are them, in response to Placid's pronunciation. So we got faux AAVE. By the way, AAVE stands for African American Vernacular English. Yeah, I didn't know this was a thing either, but there you go. It's apparently a version of English that incorporates African terminology, so slang basically, I guess. But this is bad because V, the main character, talks this way at times, yet can be presented as a white person based on the player's choices. I wish I was kidding, but let's continue. From the original OP, I asked Comrade T, which was a developer at CDPR, if he was concerned they weren't treating certain cultures with enough respect. The following sentence sent me because I want to know what consultants y'all got for this that have passed through just fine. Obviously, we're paying a lot of attention to representing different groups respectfully. You know there's always a risk. Of course, we have it in the back of our heads that we need to be careful about this. We are contacting different consultants to learn about specific groups, and our company has a variety of people with different beliefs. As for the animals, if you play through the game, you'll see that they're not mostly black people, it's mixed. Cypher got mad at this, of course, and continued by saying, it doesn't get much better because the city is supposed to be mixed. But the area shown is mostly Haitian immigrants. Apparently, we are warned that the violent black thugs will turn on us soon as the deed is done. So black folks are thugs by default, they turn on the protagonist and gun folks down with no thought. But supposedly there are consultants involved. I wish I could know who, cause they should be questioned on this portrayal of black folks. I know we can't know cause NDAs, and often enough if a consultant is pulled in, it may be too late if art assets, VA work, and such has already been done, which can cause a huge delay depending on how their feedback is acted upon. CDPR had already shown they are not interested in doing better in how long it took to can that social media manager, or in co-opting a trans activist hashtag for adverts. My skepticism grew after the stereotypical way the pro-tag's partner was showing to speak, the Spanglish, and terrible way he acted. I had few hopes any other race would be treated better if they appeared in the game at all. This could have been great. I don't have much hope for it to get better or be better at launch. Thankfully, there's too many other things coming out the same time next year to be deeply invested in 2077. I just wish it wasn't such an expected but still disappointed reaction to most games these days. Also, save your hot takes, it's just going to get you muted or blocked, of course it will. So as you can see in 2019, the self-proclaimed gaming consultant was really mad about Cyberpunk 2077's depiction of black people, saying that the game is dead on arrival, it misuses terminology apparently, and much more. Then in 2020, which is the year Cyberpunk released, Cypher's entire stance on CDPR and Cyberpunk just completely changed. As Savvy discovered, which you can see on screen here, Cypher ends up proclaiming publicly that they were sent a free gaming chair from CDPR, with Cyberpunk's name clearly labeled on the chair themselves. They even admit that they were sent this item for free by the studio. But it doesn't end there. Next, Cypher publicly displayed that CDPR even sent them a free collector's edition of Cyberpunk 2077 for the PS4 when the game first released, even hashtagging it, calling it a PR gift that was sent to them as a gesture of goodwill. As if that wasn't enough, they even got sent food in the form of macarons that had edible Cyberpunk treats by CD Projekt Red. And they again showed this on social media as being another thank you that was sent to them, but that's not all. Here's Cypher sitting in their brand new Cyberpunk chair they got sent for free, now showing off their brand new NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3090, where they say thank you to NVIDIA for sending them the latest and greatest tech to play Cyberpunk at launch. Of course, they are also suddenly a NVIDIA partner, and they hashtag Cyberpunk 2077 and all that because now they're suddenly very happy to check out the game. Of course for free because they did not pay for any of this. Finally, we have Cypher again publicly displaying that they were also sent a Rockstar energy drink Cyberpunk 2077 mystery box that they got sent to open on a live stream later to promote the game. As Savvy details here in her very easy to read picture that details all of this for you to see, even in steps. Cypher of Gaming Magazine, who was very vocal about the so-called racist and transphobic depictions of characters within Cyberpunk's world, went from being bitter and hateful on Twitter, claiming that they will never check out Cyberpunk due to it not pandering and whatever else, to suddenly glazing the game prior to launch, sporting a new chair, mystery box, the collector's edition on PS4, and the game supposedly on PC to play for free too. Magically, after all of these freebies were sent, along with food for God's sakes, those claims that Cypher had against CDPR and Cyberpunk, they just magically vanished. What you're seeing there, viewer, is the direct connection between these DEI consultants like Cypher and the parasitic relationship that me and others keep pointing out to you. That these consultants, the sweet babies and such, all of them form a perfect circle where they give good gaming press as long as said companies butter them up and shower them in gifts so they can brag about it on Twitter for their mutuals to see. Is it any surprise that people who work at Digital Foundry, BioWare, CDPR, Gaming Magazine, and more are all intrinsically tied to one another in more ways than one? But wait, of course, there's more too. In 2023, Cypher, or Tanya DePass, then publicly revealed that they were named as the chair of the governing board for Take This. In case you don't know, Take This is another gaming consultant group that, by the way, was in fear of going under just a month or two ago. And they were publicly begging for at least $80,000 from anyone to keep the consulting firm open because they weren't exactly being used as much as they would hope. Of course, they somehow managed to secure funding and will remain open for the foreseeable future. And yes, the same person who pressured CDPR into giving them free stuff, which magically then made their problems with Cyberpunk's supposed transphobia disappear once the check clears, also sits at the top of Take This, which further grifts money from gaming companies to offer their services that benefit nobody but themselves. There's also more grifting and buttering up to be shown as well. Just a bit ago, Cypher was also sent the collector's edition of Dragon Age Veilguard free of charge from EA and BioWare as well. That they, of course, showed again on Twitter to flex on mutuals, showing, hey, look at me, I'm getting free stuff, and you aren't, because I'm in with the right people. So why am I showing you all of this? Well, firstly, because it's laughably stupid and ridiculous for one, but also because these are the sorts of people that these gaming companies are employing and, they want them for consulting. The sorts of people whose morals and standards immediately shift or even disappear as soon as money comes flowing in and free merchandise is given to them. And this is the true face of the gaming industry. The people who claim you need to listen to them or you're racist or transphobic, they're all basically lying to you, and they can easily be bought and paid for as long as you can do it. And in reality, if I wanted Sweet Baby Inc. or Gaming Magazine to like me in the future, I just need to send them sandwiches, donuts, and maybe a free game to someone like Cypher, and on pattern recognition alone, they would no longer think that I'm evil or whatever, as long as I keep feeding them food or free items instead. This, my dear viewers, is the sort of stuff we're fighting against, me and other YouTubers and such. So when they tell you that we're the grifters, I just want you to know that the people who are ruining your games, destroying your favorite franchises, reviewing these games too, or in Digital Foundry's case, showing you how they run, which they do with the free copies they get sent by publishers to do so, all of these people, they all know each other, they work together, and publicly stand proud as one under such monikers like Gaming Magazine, which again, should remind you, have been exposed by people like Grums for charging prices like $3,000 for 2 advertising pieces on their website that gets barely any traffic, or you can promote your content on their YouTube channel as well. Who wouldn't want to advertise to just a bit over 1,000 views in an entire year, like being a presenting partner for the low price of $125,000? Or sponsoring the stream that nobody watches for $80,000, or be a drink sponsor and buy all of their booze so that they can drink for free during this live stream for the small charge of $45,000. Or, just show your support for them by giving them $20,000 just because you can, so you can feel good about yourself. This is the true face of the grifting that we are facing. This is why games journalists, the yes men, women, whatever, the studios that push back and hate us, they all rally together like this. Because we are exposing them for quite literally siphoning millions of dollars in sponsors and free swag bags for consulting on your favorite franchises that just end up ruining them. These consultants literally do not bring anything of value to your games, your communities, or your futures. The only thing they can actually promise you is that you'll lose money and create a product for nobody. And if you don't want to hire them, they will just publicly bash you openly amidst their echo chambers where other consultants exist. Until you are strong-armed and threatened with boycott by people who don't even buy your games and instead just demand free codes. Yet we're the grifters apparently. Oh, my bad. I didn't realize that I was a grifter. Maybe I could really be one if CDPR sends me a chair or something soon. Or maybe BioWare can send me a replica suit of armor of Commander Shepard that I can wear, that would be cool. I'll also possibly stop talking about Sweet Baby Inc., once they send me a check for $500,000. Maybe I'll just shut up completely and leave YouTube if Jeff Keighley gives me a Content Creator of the Year award, and a lifetime supply of Mountain Dew and Dorito chips in good measure. This is what we're fighting against. When I tell you that the industry is rotting from the inside out by people who genuinely could not care less about the games you want, I mean it. And it's not like I'm going into their personal info to find these things either. This is what they publicly show you. Now you can only imagine how much worse it is behind closed doors and DMs and so on. And if anybody has any info that they really want to get out there about these people but are afraid to do so, just email me or DM me on Twitter, I'll do it for you. Let's talk, let's have a chat, and don't worry, you don't need to give me macarons or a free gaming chair for me to do it. I will do it on principle alone, for free. Because if you ask me, we're high time past the point where these things should be acceptable anymore. And they can hate us all they want, claiming that Assassin's Creed is fine, guys. Just ignore the fact that there's a bunch of people who've never made a game before working on it who then claim that their work is garbage. Just trust the process. And definitely we should listen to people whose social justice virtues and morals quickly disappear like Batman into the night the moment the checks clear and the free swag bags start piling up. We are not the grifters, dear viewer, but the real grifters really don't want you to know about them. But that's too bad, because now that I got your scent, I'm going to keep digging. So thank you for watching, subscribe, thanks to my supporters, and I'll see you dudes soon.